Hey, Shaun Castle.
Ma'am, how are you?
You call me ma'am.
Ma'am, how are you?
Sergeant.
It's very nice. No, please don't call me Sergeant. Shaun at most. Castle if you want. Z if you need to.
All right.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you for doing this. And I would give a big fancy introduction, but instead I'm just going to post a whole bunch of links below this video so that our viewing audience can read for themselves. Plus, I think knowing our viewing audience, they might be a little bit disturbed by my flowery language if I were to describe my feelings for you, Shaun Castle.
I appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you.
So, cutting right to it, we're talking a lot about student development in higher education and what kinds of things that institutions can do to facilitate meaningful interaction between groups of people who have a lot to learn from each other but may not necessarily have the opportunity to come together and work together, and higher education is a place where they can do that. And so thinking about your experience as a student veteran, I'm wondering if you might be able to share a few examples of things that the University of Alabama did to facilitate meaningful interaction between student veterans here and the much larger non-student veteran population we have here.
Absolutely. Well, again, thank you for having me. I'm really appreciative of the opportunity to speak to this. I spent 3 years at the University of Alabama. So when I first got here, it was actually a little bit harder than you would think to be identified as a veteran. I'm in a wheelchair, and it's pretty easy for people to see the person in a wheelchair, but being an adapted sports, person, being a player, they kind of quickly associate you with adapted sports and not really with being a veteran. But one of the best things that the University of Alabama does that I think a lot of universities can take a lot from is that they have a very strong on-campus veterans organization. So their Department of Veterans Affairs at the University of Alabama is extremely well staffed, and it has the DAV, the PVA, and many other organizations actually in the office with them. But what they do is they go out of their way and have made a concerted effort, especially from the time I got here now to the time I just graduated. They've made a concerted effort to ensure that veterans are integrated quickly, that as soon as you come on campus, if you self-identify as a veteran, that they will bring you in, they will walk you through campus, they will tell you about everything that's available to you, they will explain, okay, we have this organization, the Student Veterans Organization, we have all these different groups, and then they will plan events to bring that out. So, of course, at Alabama, we love football, which is huge, and what better opportunity if you're an organization, especially trying to get veterans out there, than to have a group at the football games as students are coming by near the student section to go, now, we have these veterans here. We'd love for you to see what we're doing. We'd love for you to have the opportunity to interact with us. And student veterans especially bring a very special set of skills and knowledge with them along to college, because the normal college student might be 18, 19 years old, first time leaving home, first time having, there's 50,000 people here as other students, and then, numerous teachers and, faculty and all that. But this is an all new world to them. This is an all new, hey, God, experience. Where veterans, for the most part, these men and women have been battle tested. These men and women have gone through boot camp, basic training, however, whatever version you want, AIT, duty station, deployment after deployment after deployment. So this big interaction is not something that is scared to them. And they've also learned that set of skills that they go, okay, what can I bring to campus that is different? You know what I mean? Like that set of skills that you have strong leadership. You already have, again, the hard work driven put in you. So having 18, 19-year-old kids who've never left home interact with, 25, 26, 27, even older. When I first got here, I was 32. But I was 32 when I first came to Alabama. But having them interact with younger students who don't have that information, who don't have that experience, is huge. Because these are things that can't be taught in a classroom. And these are things that only veterans can truly get across and show younger students that you can go through hard times in life, you can go through many different challenges, but if you're equipped and ready to fight those challenges, you can be very successful. And for most 18 and 19-year-olds, very few things are scarier than having to leave home for the first time and then go interact with, oh my God, college classes and professors, and it's not as easy as I thought it would be, and now I've got new friends and new people around me. And having a veteran there who's been, whoa, this isn't, I promise you, relax. This is not that big of a deal. And having them mentor, which is huge, especially for the veterans population with the non-veteran population on campus. Having them mentor students, having them mentor our new population as they come in is one of the things and the assets that they bring, that leadership that they already have. So having them on campus is huge in the University of Alabama. When I first got here, not quite as good at it identifying, but the entire time I've been here, I've seen unbelievable work being done by our veterans, by our university, to fully find ways to integrate, in the college experience. And like I said, when we were talking about the football games, they set up booths now right at the main entrance to the student entrance.
Wow.
Which is huge. So if you go to an Alabama football game, I assume every week, but I don't have time to get to every week, so I'd assume every week. But if you go there, there's a veterans organization. There's the pamphlets. There's all I'm pretty sure they play different games and stuff like that. But anything where you can get a student who is 18 or 19 years old to stop and go, this is one of your fellow classmates, and oh, by the way, he served in Iraq. And his experience from being there, and oh, by the way, he served in Afghanistan, or oh, by the way, he served in one of the 213 places we currently have military around the globe. He served there. He's been there. Talk to him for a few minutes, and develop that rapport between the two. Because it shouldn't be that veterans are now a minority on campus. It should be the veterans are an asset on your campus and should be viewed that way. And the wonderful thing about Alabama is they found that out over time, that we really have a resource that we haven't tapped. And we have a resource that we should be trying significantly harder, not to only have on campus, but to be, I don't want to say exploited because that's not the word I'm looking for, but to be used as a tool to help other students, with this transition, and also to understand what the military does. And to understand that these are your brothers and sisters, these are your moms and your fathers, these are your aunts and these people, they're human beings. So especially a lot of students whose first time on campus, especially on college campuses, it's very hard because normally the veteran population, the ROTC, is set aside. And it's almost like, again, they're a different race of people over there and that they're not interacting. But the best thing that could possibly be done is to humanize the veterans in a sense that they're not a veteran, they're a student who happens to be a veteran. And that's one of the biggest challenges you have to overcome. And that's where I was talking about at the football games is, hey, I saw that guy in my math class or my poli-sci class or whatever. And, oh, you're a veteran? Oh, cool, where'd you serve? And then you start to slowly build that up. So my experience here, very short answer as you can tell, but my experience here is that Alabama has started to make strides forward. They've done a lot of work trying to figure out exactly how to attract more veterans. They have a lot of wonderful programs. I personally went through New College Life Track, which is amazing. I loved it, especially as an adult learner. And that's one of the things that, if I was going to give a big piece of advice to any university, would be to find a way to make education more accessible to not only veterans but active duty, and understand the challenges that we go through both as veterans and active duty military. Because let's just say active duty military, if you're deployed somewhere without Wi-Fi access, without ability to get to your program and stuff like that, that should not mean that you should be cast aside from education because you're serving your country. And New College Life Track, and I always say wonderful stuff about them because they do an amazing thing, is they give a much more broad educational spectrum in the sense that they set it up to where it's catered, and you sign up for what they call a contract versus a course. And you have 6 months to complete that contract with no set turn-in dates. So you have 6 months anywhere in that time period to be able to finish your work. So if for a month and a half you're somewhere that has no access to the internet and has no Wi-Fi and has no, how am I going to turn this in? It's not a problem. They have been dealing with, military deployed for a very long time. They understand these challenges, and it's the only one, to my knowledge, that has that type of program. Because normally you have more traditional online courses, which is you have to have this reading done. You have to have 5 returned answers for every person to speak to you. You have to have this. That's not feasible in many, many scenarios for our military. And New College presents a unique scenario that could be, I don't want to say copycatted, but could definitely draw inspiration from on all college campuses. Because if you're ignoring the veteran and the active military base, you are ignoring a huge opportunity for not just growth and the diversity of your student population, but also financial growth. Because you have a student population that is having their college paid for, it's having their books paid for, they're having all the things that you normally would have to worry about with a normal student. It's not a problem. It's not anything that they have to worry about. So why wouldn't you want to go out and actively recruit active duty and veterans, because this is a population that, again, they know how to hard work, they've already built in leadership, and they already have the financial side of the house taken care of. So why wouldn't you make the education more accessible? So if I was one of the men or women or the cadre who are watching this and going, well, what can I do? I would get in contact with the leadership at your universities and saying, what are we doing to make it easier for not only active duty military, but for veterans to be able to get their education here? What are we doing to actively recruit these men and women to be a part of our campus and make it much more accessible? And if their answer is, well, we have an online, course catalog, that's wrong. Because those classes in most scenarios are really hard for active duty military and a lot of veterans, including myself, to be able to do. We are a unique population, but we bring our own positives and challenges as well. But if you have veterans on campus, that's much easier. But if you have active duty military around the world, why wouldn't you want to make it easier for the men and women who are fighting in harm's way, who are providing the freedom to be able to come to these classes and sit in these rooms, to have the opportunity to get their education? I love the University of Alabama. I am a very proud alumni of this university, very proud of my time here and what I've been able to accomplish. But this is something that should be duplicated around our country, the platform that has been set up, especially, again, I say New College Life Track because it is such a, obviously nothing is perfect, but it is such a great system to be able to help these things out. And now I've talked about active duty. If you're a veteran like myself, I can't sit in classes for 2 and 3 hours at a time. I can't take pain medicine. I can't take muscle relaxers. I'm allergic to all of it, so I have to constantly get in and out of my chair. There are days where I can't get to class because of how badly I hurt. So having a program that is set up to where I don't have to be in the classroom with 18-year-olds, which, by the way,